What's up, hybrids? Welcome back to another episode of the Phantom Hybrid Podcast. This is Hanako, and I am here with Anthony, Mike, and Casey. So we got to be talking about some Marvel stuff. Let's
Or Fast
discuss
and Furious.
Captain America: Brave New World. And I'm pretty sure from some of the comments I have seen on folks' social media that there's some mixed reactions to this movie. So let's get into it. What were your first thoughts? Anthony, I'm gonna go with you first.
Why you start with me
You really
first?
want to start with it? Okay.
Do start from the bottom and go up. Let's do that.
Let's just get the bad out of the way because I got a feeling from his post that you didn't really care for it too much.
I mean, it's hard to say I didn't care for it. I was sort of like lukewarm,
Okay.
like meh, maybe.
Okay.
Because the reason why it's hard is Anthony Mackie gave like a really great performance.
He
Like
did.
he was
amazing.
really good. He was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Harrison Ford wasn't doing it just for the paycheck. He was really, really good.
Yeah.
Like I was sold on Thunderbolt Ross.
Yeah.
Um, and then it kind of stops there.
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay.
they didn't have a lot to really work with, and I just felt like it was a movie that was doing too much. It was
Okay.
like four half baked movie ideas kind of thrown together.
Okay.
And you said something brilliantly when we were talking offline about it being would you say it was a sequel to
It
Incredible
felt like
Hulk?
it was a sequel to the Incredible Hulk instead of a
Yeah.
Captain America story. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it also felt like a continuation of the Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Mm-hmm.
And you can kind of tell where the reshoots were there. You can kind of tell storylines that they started and kind of I feel like Giancarlo Esposito was just kind of thrown in.
He
It's
was. He
obvious
literally
he was
was.
thrown in at the last minute. Don't even know why. Not even necessary,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
There was so many half. This is like the third time that we've seen a Marvel movie or a Marvel property where they have all these starter good ideas
Mm-hmm.
and they just kind of like whiff on it.
Okay.
And that's what it felt like. Like there was I can't even say there was a movie in there. Like maybe I could have stitched a really good movie together.
Mm-hmm.
Not I really couldn't. There wasn't. You could have you literally could have taken him out, put in some other random Marvel character,
Or put
and
Bruce
made
Banner
it.
in.
Oh, yeah, it made it a Red Hulk movie. Like, you don't think Bruce is interested in what's happening right now?
Right.
She Hulk, she not interested in what's
Mm-hmm.
happening with the
Yeah.
Red Hulk. Like, come on, guys,
Yeah.
just come on.
Okay.
That's all I'm gonna say. Like, I wanted it. I avoided the spoilers. I avoided watching the trailers. I wanted to go in clean. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to go in no expectations, and I just felt like I was kind of let down. Like I have to go back and rewatch Falcon and Winter Soldier to kind of cleanse my palate.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I got it. All right, Mike, what about you?
Okay, so here's the thing. Nah, I gotta be honest. I don't know how I feel about this movie, and it's not because I've heard a lot of everyone else's opinions on it. Because if that was the case, then I would feel one way or the other. But I've heard a lot of people's reviews of it. I've read stuff about it that I don't agree with.
Mm-hmm.
And I I got to be honest, I don't necessarily know how I feel about this movie. I
Okay.
mean, I know how I feel about Anthony Mackie. He's still one of my favorite actors in the MCU. I know he did a good job.
Mm-hmm.
I know that Harrison Ford took on a daunting task and actually killed it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is probably one of his better acting jobs that he's done in the last few years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at it, he did really good, and I was impressed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that Carl Lumbly got in it and
Mm-hmm.
acted his ass off again. Maybe this time he'll actually get nominated for it.
Yeah.
I mean, Carl Lumley broke my heart, dude. I mean, that's one of the main things I took away from this was that Carl Lumley is a great fucking guy, is an
Yes.
incredible actor.
Yes.
Like he was so good in this,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just like, but other than that, Joaquin was good, but he wasn't in it enough for me to be like get a good impression of
Okay.
him. Um, Again, Giancarlo was thrown into it, and I feel bad because he was thrown into it because Seth Rollins because the character he's played was to be played by Seth Rollins, who is a wrestler in WWE. Like this was his role, and they had already filmed a lot of the stuff, but they cut it and got Giancarlo Esposito. I guess they didn't like what he did,
Okay.
so
Because I was gonna say, why? Okay.
yeah, I guess they did. It was like him and someone else and there was like there was another character that Seth Rollins was interacting with as Sidewinder, but it did. I guess whatever happened, either they saw it and they didn't like it, or when they tested it, it didn't work well because everybody was like, "Who the fuck is that? Why?" Or whatever,
Okay.
whatever the case, they
I
cut
do
him.
remember hearing that the first time they test screened there weren't the audience wasn't favorable towards it.
Yeah,
So
so
I know they went in and did some reshoots and changed some things after that. So
and the thing is, it's like I really didn't like Giancarlo Esposito in this. I didn't think he really should. I don't understand why he was in it, and it's like I just don't get it. I know we need an antagonist, but that's what the leader was for, and the leader himself, I didn't. I don't know what the thing is like. I understand. You see what I'm saying? It's like he
we'll
was.
talk about that because I
But
got some thoughts about that whole thing too.
okay, it's like because I know who the leader is because I've read Hulk comics. I know what he's supposed to look like. He's not supposed to look like he has a tumor. He's supposed to have a big, smooth head. His head's, I mean, and that kept distracting me from the fact that Tim Blake Nelson probably did a good job acting the part. Like I was cool. I was cool with him as the main antagonist. I was like, from what he did, the way he set it up, and I'm like, okay, I'm cool with that.
Okay.
I
Uh,
just kept getting distracted by the fact that he looked like he had active brain cancer coming out of his head. So it's like but again, other than that, I just don't know how I feel about this movie. I
okay.
don't feel strongly for it. I don't feel strongly against it. I enjoyed what the parts I liked. I really liked, but the
Mm-hmm.
whole movie as a whole, I'm just like
Okay.
it's weird.
Okay. Casey, what you got?
I liked it.
Okay.
And having seen The Incredible Hulk, I didn't feel like it was like an Incredible Hulk sequel. I did feel like they wrapped up a lot of stuff from that movie,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't feel like it was, like he said, a sequel.
Mm-hmm.
Or, yes, it had a lot of the same people. Um, but I still enjoyed it. I did like Anthony Mack. Well, I liked the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody did do a really good job. I really liked the fighting sequences. Um, I think overall, I mean, I would watch it again. So
Mm-hmm.
if I wouldn't watch it again, it wasn't a good movie. But I would actually watch that one again. It
Okay.
had, like, I like some of the little jokes, and I like Anthony Mackie anyway. But for me, as not having read the comics and not following anything other than the Marvel movies themselves,
Mm-hmm.
it did it for me. I liked it.
Okay.
Yes, you still have that where you miss Steve Rogers, and yeah, and like he kept saying, I ain't Steve.
Mm-hmm.
And so in that, knowing he's not Steve, knowing he's not a super soldier, knowing he's just a regular old guy
Mm-hmm.
getting his ass fucked up, like it was, I enjoyed it.
Okay.
For me not having all the background, like you got, like I didn't see who was supposed to be playing what or who, I
Mm-hmm.
don't get that deep into it.
Okay. Question: did you watch The Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
I did.
Okay.
I did. But to like not knowing who all these other people were supposed to be,
Mm-hmm.
it worked for me.
Okay.
even with him as Sidewinder, I understood why he was there. As sort of like a moving piece on the chessboard for the main guy.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't dislike what he did. I mean, I like him anyway, no matter what.
Yeah.
So, but for me, it wasn't like, oh, why is he here? Like y'all are saying. But again, that's with me not going deep into who should have played this role and who did that. And, I don't look at none of that. I just go see the movie and take it for what it is. And of course, I have no comic book knowledge of anything. So
Right.
I only know based on what I'm viewing.
Okay.
And based on that, I liked it. I plan on going to see it again, but I liked it. I liked the story. I liked the action. I liked everything about it.
Okay. That's fair. Okay. So for me, I loved the movie. I did, but I also had some issues with some of the parts of the movie. Kind of echoing what everyone else said, Anthony Mackie, just amazing. Him as Sam being Captain America, I think we see a continuation of the growth of what his character went through in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And you kind of see him as a more mature, more confident Captain America, but you do still see a little bit of the doubt, especially when all of the stuff like really starts going wrong, especially when Joaquin gets hurt. You still get to see a little bit of that humanizing element of Sam that I think makes him a great Captain America. I think he played it very well. I liked the banter between him and Joaquin in this one, I think a little bit better than I did in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, because I went back and watched the show before the movie came out, and something about their banter was bothering me. And I think it was just because, one, Joaquin was very new, like him and Sam had just met each other. And when he was trying to give Sam like help and give him some intel, I noticed Sam was cutting him off a lot. And that was bothering me because that kind of doesn't vibe with Sam's character. But I think it was just part of that whole, I don't know, maybe he just wasn't used to having a quote unquote sidekick or someone there to assist him. And now you see that they're a little bit more familiar with each other. They work with each other better. They have a lot of the same kind of banter with each other. And I loved seeing that. I also love Joaquin's character because to me, he is Sam the way Sam was with Cap. Steve Rogers was always the serious one. And, Sam was the one who had the jokes. He was the one that had the mouth. He was the one that kept the humor going. And with Joaquin's character, he's very much a kid in a candy store. Like everything is new, everything is shiny. He's so excited. And I love that because Sam in his version of Captain America can get a little bit serious as well. And I think Joaquin kind of balances that out. So I love those two together. Harrison Ford, I think I saw an interview where Harrison said he was so happy to step into the MCU. He was like, I've been wanting to do one of these Marvel films. And it was so refreshing for me because so much of what we've heard about the Marvel films in the last few years, especially from Hollywood's quote unquote elite or the legends, they all say that it's just, flash in the pan, it's taking away from real cinema, blah, blah, blah. So for someone like Harrison Ford to be like, yes, I really wanted to be in this, and for him to come in and really make the role of Thunderbolt Ross his, he had to take over that role from the late William Hurt. So that's already daunting in itself when you're playing a recast character. But yeah, he did such a great job. And it's like, I feel like he was the version of Thunderbolt Ross that we needed for this film. I don't know if I could have felt sympathetic toward William Hurt's Thunderbolt, especially considering I went back and, well, okay, let me clarify. I quote unquote went back to go watch The Incredible Hulk after I watched Captain America, just to realize that I had never fully watched The Incredible Hulk when I thought I watched it when it first came out. So having to rewatch this character and the stuff that he did and everything, I was like, even if William Hurt was alive, I don't think I would have felt sympathetic towards his character because he was such an asshole in The Incredible Hulk. So the acting performances were great. The issues that I had, as I mentioned, it felt more like an Incredible Hulk sequel than a Captain America movie because everything that Sam was dealing with had to do with Thunderbolt Ross and all of his drama and all his bullshit from the time of the Incredible Hulk. The villain was because of him. All of the conflicts that was going on was because of him. And I don't know, it was just, it's weird to see his story take a backseat in a movie that's supposed to be about him. And then on top of that, you're dealing with all the Incredible Hulk stuff. And Casey, like you said, it wrapped up a lot of stuff for those characters in that story. But why did that have to be done in this particular movie? That I don't understand. The whole thing with quote unquote Celestial Island, aka Tiamet, they're just finally addressing Tiamet. And, you know, it's been several years since all of this happened with the Eternals and all this stuff. You're just now addressing this. Like, how many movies has come out since the Eternals? How many Marvel shows have come out since the Eternals where this was addressed? Like, we saw a small snippet about it in, I think it was She-Hulk.
It was on.
Yeah.
It was on the front of someone's newspaper.
Yeah, I think it was
She-Hulk,
She-Hulk.
Yeah.
So again, going back to what Mike said, if you're gonna reference it in She-Hulk, or maybe Anthony, I think it was you, why not have She-Hulk in this? If you're going all Incredible Hulk with the Red Hulk and Thunderbolt Ross and all the stuff, and you're bringing in Betsy Ross in the camp, like, why not just go all the way if that's the case?
I thought they were going to have Mark Ruffalo in there or Edward Norton somehow. I just knew it. I just knew they were going to make some kind of cameo.
So I don't know. It was just trying to get on board with this story and making it Cap's story. It just, I don't know. It just felt like he was a guest star in his own movie, which is weird because he did have it's not like he was just relegated to the side, but I feel like most of the story that was being told didn't even have anything to do with him. Like, he just happened to inherit all of this because he is the new Captain America. But like you said, they could have, it could have been the Hulk in this movie. They could have brought the Eternals back for this. And I think it kind of still would have had the same impact. I just feel like I expected a little bit more.
Okay. I've been writing notes. I have notes for the first time in a long time. I'm gonna go quickly. All right. So they did have a missed opportunity. There was a movie there, and I'm gonna relate these two things. So the first thing is I understood what was going on with Joaquin because if you remember, he lost his partner. They were flying those suits together.
Okay.
And his partner crashed.
You're right.
So that is he understands. I'm gonna say that's a pain spot for him.
Yeah.
To have someone get close to him like that who's doing the same thing. We know how soldiers are.
Yeah.
This is a friend that he lost, and here's this kid who is doing the same thing, and he's about to lose him too. He doesn't want to lose him. That's why he doesn't put him in danger. That was a missed opportunity because they didn't go back to that. They didn't refresh us on that. They didn't tell us that. There was a lot of introspection he could have had to talk about.
I forgot until you just mentioned it.
Right. Yeah. He could have talked about that. And what three of these are related. The other thing I was going to say, the Serpent Society. So Casey was saying, well, I understood Sidewinder. I understood why he was there. And I'm not going to say it didn't make sense. It just didn't really fit to me.
Right.
Because I think if I had to guess, which is related to my third thing, I didn't think they really trusted Anthony Mackie to carry this movie on his own. Like, I didn't think they thought they could make a Captain America movie with just him, because it feels like maybe they were going to do a Serpent Society thing, because wasn't the original title Captain
Yes.
America and the Serpent Society?
One of them was, yeah.
Yeah, that was going to be the thing, and I think they were like, well, Anthony Mackie, Black Captain America. I don't know, if people gonna be able to watch that. We're gonna have to do something else. We gotta do something different. They just didn't trust him, especially with the way the MCU movies has been going. I just don't think they trusted to do him and the Serpent Society movie, which is why they went all out with the Red Hulk.
I don't know. I don't think it's necessarily that they didn't trust
They didn't
Anthony
trust.
Mackie
No,
but I don't
trust. They didn't trust the idea of a Captain America movie and the Serp Society and the way the political things is going now.
Yeah,
they're like, we're not going to be able. Especially when you look at what's been happening with the MCU movies and all this DEI talk and all this woke talk, they're like, you know what? These are, let's kind of back away from this. Let's take a moment. Let's rewrite this whole thing and not put it all on him being the center of the movie. And that's sort of what it feels like. They're like, it was safe to go with what worked with Falcon and Winter Soldier, give him a little bit of character development, and then let's throw the leader, let's throw in Betsy, let's throw in Thunderbolt Ross, and we got the Red Hulk, and we got the thing from the Eternals that everybody hates. Let's put it all in this movie. And, he won't have to be by himself. Like, he won't have to be the reason the movie fails. You understand what I'm saying? But clearly, if you watch the movie, he could have done it. It could have been about him versus, and I can also understand why they wouldn't want to do it, because it would be too much like Falcon and Winter Soldier, because there you had, what were they called?
The Flag Smashers.
Flag Smashers.
The Flag Smashers. If you do the Serpent Society, the people are like, you're doing the Flag Smashers again. You just call it the Serpent Society.
And see, that's the thing that was kind of bothering me, because I feel like if you were going to do a Captain America movie and give him his own story, let's take Thunderbolt Ross and all this other stuff out of it, Red Hulk or whatever. I feel like they could have continued on with the Flag Smashers, because the way that story was being told, they could have dealt with the repercussions of it. And I think if they had written the story right, it would have done well. Because
you had elements
so
that you could have pulled from the show.
Yeah, elements and not only that, you got the whole power broker thing with Power Broker. You had, there was a lot.
You could have brought back Helmet. You could have brought back Baron Zemo. You could have brought back
Zemo.
You had stuff to.
Literally went to the raft to go see Thunderbolt Ross at the end. You didn't go say hey to Zemo. He's at the raft.
You could have brought back John Walker. You want to tie it into the Thunderbolts? You could have had them trying to work together. You could have had him struggling with whether or not he wanted to take the serum.
I don't need to see John Walker in it. Like,
but,
I'm already.
But I'm saying, they had so many things. They had an opportunity to pull so many things, and then you had the Flag Smashers, and you still could have thrown in the Serpent Society, and they have a lot of really good characters in the Serpent Society, and it would have been. It probably would have been an action-oriented movie. We probably would have had problems with it, but I would have wanted to see that more. Like, I would have rather have seen more of that. And if I'm gonna see the Red Hulk and Betsy Ross and the leader, then I want to see Edward Norton as a Hulk, because here now you got a continuity problem. This was another note I have over here, where Bruce ain't never really mentioned any of these people. There was never any reference to anything,
right?
And we're supposed to think Ross,
that he told Sam he wants him to bring back the Avengers. The Hulk is part of the Avengers,
right? And I'm looking at it, and I'm thinking, if Bruce, it boggles my mind, because Bruce has never referenced or said, or we've never got any hint of anything having to do with that previous movie. And if we did, it was very, very small.
I was gonna say they mentioned it in something I remember, because I think we were all like, oh.
Yeah, it was a very small
It might have
reference.
been a She-Hulk.
But if all of this was very important to that character's development, it just doesn't feel like it fits with the Bruce that we've had in that we really
Yeah.
know in the MCU,
Yeah.
not the Edward Norton one. Does that make sense?
I think it really, like, if you're
It's
gonna
like you might
tie
as well
those
have brought Sam, what's his name, back to be Thunderbolt Ross, and we could have Eric Bana. We could have done anything the way this was going.
But I think the fact that you're tying this Thunderbolt Ross, and, like, of course you mentioned all the stuff that happened with Betsy, with Betty, and everything that happened with the Hulk, and this is why his daughter's not talking to him and stuff. It's like, I don't know. I feel like that should have had more of an impact on his character development, because here's the thing. After going back and watching the Incredible Hulk and seeing everything that happened, seeing everything that went down, and you think about this character, he let Bruce Banner get away. He let Abomination become Abomination. I don't know why I can't think of his name right now.
Emil Blonsky.
Yes, Blonsky.
Yeah.
He lets him become the Abomination. Okay, then he has Stearns that he's been keeping captive ever since that time because of all this stuff. Then you come into the present MCU version of Thunderbolt Ross. He's the one that gave out the Sokovia Accords and split the Avengers. He's the one who couldn't capture Black Widow. I mean, he's had all of these failures as a general. How the fuck do you get elected president? But thinking
because you're going after.
I was gonna say, thinking about our own political climate is not really that hard to answer that question. But
he was going after the guy that was president in Secret Invasion. So shit, I could have been president after him.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And also remember the leader, Dr. Stern, said he was the one that kind of engineered helping him become president too.
Yeah. Okay. That I get. And this is the other thing I was going to say in relation to Stearns. Given what they did with his character, because his character was in the Incredible Hulk for only a brief time, like he was really there, kind of communicating off the scene, and then once we actually see his face and are introduced to who he is, he's really only in a few scenes before he just disappears. Like, we never find out at the end of the Incredible Hulk what happened to his character. And now, of course, here it is, all these years later, he's coming up as the big bad in this movie. So I kind of sort of feel like maybe something similar would happen with Sidewinder's character. Because again, you have this person come in, he's the big bad, only except he's not the big bad. He's working for the big bad. He gives you some pertinent information, and then you just kind of walk off and leave him there. I feel like he's probably going to be more important, maybe in Avengers Secret Wars or whichever movie comes after this one. So I don't know, because I kind of felt the same way. I was like, okay, Giancarlo Esposito's in this, and then once he's in it, I'm like, that's it. But
it's like it
question really, because I hear y'all saying like they should have did more. They should have did more. Like what? I guess my thought is like, what is your expectation? Because he tried to steal the adamantium, and they got it back, and then he got caught, and then Anthony Mackie went to talk to him at the little place, and then after that he went to jail. So I'm like, because y'all like they didn't do.
Well, there was a fight in between there too.
It's not. Yeah, I think.
But I'm saying, what else was he supposed to do?
I think it's not necessarily that we were expecting the character to do more. It's just that it's Giancarlo Esposito. You don't have him in there for like 5 minutes and then just be done.
But they did, and that can't be just it.
Well,
I get what you're saying.
You are actually, Casey, you are exactly right. You're exactly right. What did we expect? Because they did.
Yeah, he only filmed for like 3 days or something.
Yeah, they literally brought him in at the last minute to plug him to plug him into the movie for marketing. So our expectations really shouldn't have been that high for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Right.
And I guess the thing is, they build something up, which is really our fault. They build something up to make it look more than what it really is, because you literally could have had anybody play that character
Mm-hmm.
and done the same exact thing.
But the
And
thought would be they do want somebody that we recognize. They do want somebody who is a name that you'd be like, oh, that's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
you know who had more screen time than he did?
No,
Sam Sealsick's friend. He had more screen time than Jean Claude. Who did they put in that role?
I don't know who that guy is.
Nobody knows who that guy
Wait,
is.
oh, yeah.
Nobody knows who that guy is. Nobody. And he had more screen time than Giancarlo Esposito.
Yeah.
You know, and then the chick who what was her name? The Black Ruth,
Agent Taylor.
the
They knew
Black
they was
Widow.
killing. They knew they
No,
was
not her yet. The one
okay.
that's Italian. No, the Israeli one that they put in who was
Ruth.
Ruth.
going to be like a character who was a Mossad agent, but they switched it because of political concerns about being sympathetic to Israel.
Mm-hmm.
So they made her a
Yes.
Black Widow agent instead of a Mossad
Mossad
agent.
agent. Yes. And
I think
I had
her name
heard
was actually Mossad or
and
something. It's like
I heard a lot of her stuff got cut
a
because of the
lot of it.
change.
Yeah, because they were afraid of, like, again, this is why
Well, the same reason
I
why they chose Japan instead of China,
yes,
because
because
that's a
they
huge
want this
market.
movie to do good in China, and they don't want to piss China off because that's one of their, other than the US, that's one of their biggest places to show movies. So they're like, fuck that shit, we're not doing that. So, but this is the whole thing about them being, I hate certain things, certain parts, things about the world today because everybody is so afraid of being woke or feeding into DEI, but it's like they're so afraid that they are walking on eggshells around issues that they should be stomping around. It's like the first Falcon and Winter Soldier, Sam spoke his mind and it related to the world today. He should have been doing the same thing in here, but they dialed it way back from how he was before.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he's nowhere near as outspoken as he was, and he should have been. Like him and Isaiah, he should have been speaking out for Isaiah constantly, but he wasn't. It's like he didn't do anything. No, he didn't do anywhere near as much for Isaiah in this film as he did in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It's like, and that I kind of have a problem with that. I think I thought that was kind of fucked up. I'm like, yeah, I'm like he wouldn't have, from how they developed Sam and Isaiah's relationship. There's no shot that he wouldn't be trying to break him the fuck out of that prison
Mm-hmm.
because he knows what he went through.
Mm-hmm.
And Isaiah told him, he was crying to him, saying, I'm going to fucking die in here. Don't let me stay in here. Don't leave me in here. I'm going to die. I'm not going to make it. And it's like, he's a fucking super soldier saying this shit. And Sam's just like, I'm going to take care of it, and gets that and walks away. I don't see that. I just don't see that.
But to Casey's point, she makes a really excellent point. There is a lot of eye candy in this movie. There's some great special effects. There's some great fight scenes. Giancarlo Esposito's in it. He's amazing. I mean, there's some really good stuff in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I talked about this earlier in the previous podcast. It's not that our expectations are, well, the expectations are not necessarily high. We just need to manage them now, because it's cool to have fun movies like John Wick and you know, movies that you just want to go Fast and Furious, just want to go have a good time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some of us, we want a little more than that, and it's sort of what we kind of started expecting from the MCU movies as they ramped up that phase 1, 2, and 3.
Mm-hmm.
Things were getting pretty serious. Things were really good. Everything was clicking. And then we get into this new phase, this post Endgame,
Yeah.
and everything is sort of back to the way it was prior to Iron Man 1, where it was great special effects or decent special effects, stories are blah, but the movies are fun.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of all that matters. Well, you can't start giving us things that matter. and then turn around and throw
Mhm.
popcorn flicks at us.
Right.
Because you need to help us manage our expectations. You know, that's like with the Secret Invasion TV show. Okay, the effects were good. That's all we can say about it. Everything else about it was crap.
Yeah.
But if you really just want to watch a TV show and waste time away, then it's great. You know, if you don't have expectations.
Wait, which TV show?
Secret
Secret
Invasion.
Invasion.
Oh,
but
I threw up a little bit in my mouth.
we
Sorry.
I've always had this conversation with the person who I live with, I'm related to by marriage. She absolutely loves the Fast and Furious movies, right? They're fun to me. I can't watch them again. I like making fun of them. I laugh because they're entertainment. For entertainment purposes only. They're great. They're not going to be nominated for an Oscar. They're not masterpieces of work. They're fun movies. We're spoiled. And this is what we've come to expect from the MCU. After Endgame, things can only get better. Like we talked about it earlier. We're chasing that MCU high.
Yeah.
We're trying to get that. We're trying to catch that feeling again, and we're not getting it.
Yeah.
Same thing I felt about What If. If I step back and just look at this movie as like a fun summer blockbuster, you know what? It checks all the boxes. It really does. It checks all the boxes. It's fun. It's got great fight scenes.
Right.
It's got some funny parts. It's got a little heart. Yeah. But I personally need a little bit more.
Right. Especially when it comes to these characters, because not only have we built on Sam Wilson's character in the movies, we had a whole show where we got to know his character more in depth, know the type of person he is, know what he stands for. And kind of going back to what Mike says, I don't think that Sam Wilson in any iteration would have left Isaiah Bradley in prison while he went to go figure things out. That didn't sit right with me. You know?
And we're in a world where Falcon, where the Winter Soldier, who was brainwashed to do stuff.
And he's running for Congress because he showed up in the movie.
Yes. However, is it that hard to believe that Isaiah Bradley and these other people were brainwashed to do something they didn't intend to do? I mean, what world are we? What MCU world are we living in? Right? You know, and the Secret Service doesn't have any weapons to deal with superpowered people on hand, just in case.
Yeah.
What world do we live in, guys?
Yeah.
What world do we live in?
Yeah.
Also,
General Ross, hold on, General Ross, 17 years ago, had stuff that was fucking up the Incredible Hulk. They don't have that time technology anymore.
Yeah.
I also have a problem with what's her name, his assistant actually finding out that something is wrong about how Isaiah was acting, like figuring it out the same time that Joaquin was figuring it out, because they made a point to show that Joaquin figured that shit out and she figured that shit out. But she couldn't. You're saying that she couldn't figure out a way to get. I mean, she almost got him killed because the guard got hypnotized by the fucking song and shot the other four shooters. Like he almost got fucking shot. And it's like you couldn't figure out a way to get him out of there somewhere, like not in isolation, because that's where he's been, and it's like you're gonna fucking kill him faster because he's gonna kill his fucking self. It's like you didn't see that he had no responsibility, had no control, he didn't do any of that shit. Y'all could have put him somewhere else. It's like
you're the head of the president's security, and you couldn't make a call to the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
Anyone.
Move that motherfucker out, please. Thank you.
Yes, get him.
Yeah.
I mean, that has aggravated me, and it's like I didn't see. It's like that. I think they had a whole nother movie. It's like I said, they had Seth Rollins playing the part that Giancarlo Esposito ended up playing, and I guess they're moving away from him, or they either didn't like how he portrayed it, or it performed poorly in trials, so they brought in the arc. So it's like that whole thing was like, and it just that whole thing just kind of screwed me over. Just kind of fucked my head up. Then it's like I just don't like her character. Like when like the Red
Yeah.
Ruth,
Yeah.
Agent Ruth. I just didn't like her character because I was just first off, she just I don't know. I like the character hold on. Lila, the other black character
Agent Taylor.
Agent Taylor. Agent Taylor who ironically in the comics has a relationship with Sam.
I can
with
tell because
we
kind
can tell.
they kind of hinted at that.
But it's like, but I mean, go into that. It's like what would have been the harm of showing them to he agrees to. What would have been the harm of delving in of giving them like a little bit of hand holding and or like, just throw it out there because
or just give a little bit of background because it's like the way that they introduced her. Sam said something about he had somebody on the inside, he had a friend, and of course when you see them talk to each other, you can tell that there was either something that went on between them or something that could go on between them,
right?
But we don't really get like her character is so prominent compared to everybody else on Thunderbolt Ross's team, but we know nothing about her. Like, you don't give us any kind of background about her. You don't, like, Ross obviously trusts and respects this woman. You know what I'm saying? And there seems to be a mutual respect between those two characters. Why not tell us a little bit more about that? Again, it's just, I don't know. I just think I don't know. It's just those are the things that really bothered me about this film because one, you generally get a little bit more character development, especially with some of these other because it seems like these smaller characters who you keep
in his show,
huh?
He got developed in his show.
He did, but you got these other characters that you are putting in the forefront of this movie, and you're not really giving us background on them. Like the whole thing with Ruth, she was born in Israel, and she trained in the Red Room. That's all y'all giving us. Like,
what do we need? What else? What else do you need?
Give me a reason to care about these characters.
I mean, it's not about her. Knowing that she was in the Red Room, we know everything about Natasha. You correlate to me. I correlated it with that. Oh, okay. She's an assassin. She do what she do her big one. Okay, great. The girl he know at the White House. Okay, they hinted at a relationship. Do we need to see the background and know whether or not they went on dates and slept together? And I don't need that. I don't need, for me, this is just me though.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need all that to be able to enjoy it and follow along with everything that's going on. I don't need the deep, in-depth background on where you grew up and who your mama and daddy. I don't need that.
I'm not saying that I need all of that, but if these are supposed to be, again, this is supposed to be a Captain America movie.
Correct.
And they made this a Thunderbolt Ross movie. They made a movie about him and all of the consequences of his actions. The leader was a consequence of what he did in The Incredible Hulk. His whole motivation for everything, him lamenting over his lost relationship with his daughter and the things that he did wrong, and everything was about Ross. So it's just, for me, for these characters that are supposed to be connected to Sam,
I feel like
give a little bit more.
Getting that whole him with his daughter and that whole thing in sort of a way, because like I said, even though they came from a different movie, so to know that from then to now their relationship is fucked up because of what he did to the Hulk back then, that didn't take away from everything that Sam was going through to me.
But what does that have to do with Sam? That's the thing. Take out everything. Okay, take everything that has to deal with Thunderbolt Ross in this film. Mm-hmm. Take it out. What are you left with? What are you left with?
I don't know.
I mean, I'm asking the question genuinely. If you take out all the Thunderbolt Ross stuff, you take out the antagonist whose whole goal is to bring Thunderbolt Ross down. If you take all of his shit out, what are you left with? Okay, you're left with Tiamat in the middle of the Indian Ocean, and the country's trying to get to the Adamantium. You have them introducing Adamantium into the MCU. And other than that, there's nothing else there.
I mean, I understand what Casey's saying, but if you do the opposite, if you take Sam out of the movie doesn't really change that much.
No, it doesn't. It's the same movie.
That's what I'm saying.
If you take Sam out of the movie,
America movie,
you still have the majority of the film.
Yeah.
Because once you take out Joaquin and you take out Joaquin, I'm sorry. If you take out Joaquin and you take out
Isaiah Bradley,
the majority of the film is about the origin of the Red Hulk. Mm-hmm. That's basically what you got.
And Celestial Island. You could have stuck, like I said, you could have stuck the Incredible Hulk in there and the movie would have been somewhat the same. You could have stuck any one of the Eternals in there to explain the whole thing about Tiamat, and it wouldn't have changed much. It just
you could have put Ethan Hunt in this motherfucker and turned to a Mission Impossible movie. It's like basically because that's true. This is why. I mean, why we're saying
in this movie. You could have stuck Rambo in this movie. You could have stuck. It did not feel like a Captain America movie to me. It just didn't. I mean, that's not, and again, that's not to say that I didn't love it. Like you said, I love the characters, I love the action sequence. Like I said, one of my big concerns was that we weren't getting Bucky in this film, and we actually got him in the film in a cameo, and it kind of gives us a little bit more about seeing what he might be up to in the lead up to Thunderbolts. But again, it just didn't feel like a Captain America movie to me.
Yeah, and again, the Casey's point, the movie, like both of you are saying, it's a fun movie. Mm-hmm. I needed to manage my expectations. I'm sitting there watching it like, oh, it's the Red Hulk origin story. This is cool. Okay, with a little bit of the Falcon and Winter Soldier in it. Like just a little bit of it in there. And I guess more or less is like I said earlier, and I don't want to keep saying it. I just expected a little bit more. If you had said this was the Red Hulk, or you called it Thunderbolt's Origins, I'm like, cool. But that's not what the movie's called. It's called Captain America Brave New World.
Brave New World.
You know, it's the whole, I don't know. There was another movie that did the same thing, and I don't know. Yeah. I just wanted more. I wanted more Sam, less Thunderbolt Ross. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like I'm specifically talking to you, Casey. I just feel like I didn't get enough of Captain America. I wanted more Captain America. I didn't get enough Captain America. I got a whole lot of the leader and a whole lot of Thunderbolt Ross. I got a whole lot of the leader, Samuel Stern, standing in front of a green screen, which is obviously reshoots. Every time they said Serpent Society, they edited out Society and to say the Serpent. They couldn't even say Sidewinder. Like they didn't even go back and ADR that. Oh, he hired the Serpent. No, the Serpent Society. It's obvious you cut out Society, but you don't want to go back and make it to say Sidewinder.
But you know what? And see, that's the thing. For someone like me, who I wouldn't know the difference between a serpent or a serpent society. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So for somebody like me, those details wouldn't mean.
Yeah, that's just me nitpicking. Yeah. But literally, I think everything that I talked about, everything kind of we're talking about is The Red Hulk stuff is cool. We cool with that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that we wanted to see Sam Wilson's Captain America and it be his movie.
I
Like it
wanted to
be
see him
him
like
be
saving the
Captain
world
America.
and not cleaning up Thunderbolt's bullshit. And that's basically what it was. He was cleaning up all the mistakes from Thunderbolt Ross. Like all of the stuff that he did in his past was catching up to him, and Sam happened to be the one who had to kind of fix it. And that was
It could have been Bucky. It didn't have to be Sam. It could have been anyone.
Yeah. So, and you know, I get what you're saying, Casey, as far as the details not mattering to you, especially as a non-comic reader. But let's be honest, the MCU would not be as successful and as popular as it is if they weren't like trying to, I won't even say appease, but if you're not trying to do what makes the comic book readers happy. Because if you're just focusing on the people who've never read the comic books, then yeah, some of those details won't care, but you also wouldn't be grossing $1 billion worldwide with most of these movies.
Well, see, for me, again, I have never read a comic book, don't have any references for anything.
Mm-hmm.
Even going all the way back to Iron Man with zero reference.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy all the movies. Mm-hmm. Like some I've only seen twice, and then there's some I've seen Iron Man 50 times. So, you know, there are some, and even still, even when I hear like comic book references and people say, "Oh, in the book it was this," and that still means nothing to me. I know what happened in the movie. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And in the same way, hate to go there, but for The Walking Dead, they didn't follow the comics and I never read those comics either. Mm-hmm. But we would always get, oh, they didn't do this in the comics, they didn't do this in. Mm-hmm. I'm enjoying what's being presented to me now. Mm-hmm. And what I'm being presented, regardless of the source reference, is entertaining to me as a non-comic reader.
Yeah.
Would that make me go back and read the comics? Possibly, it could, maybe, but who's to say? But as a non-comic reader,
right,
I enjoyed what I got.
And I understand that because I'm not a comic book reader either.
Knowing like all the backstory and this should have been this, or what these, you know, other that y'all, Anthony and Mike, know that, oh, this should have been this, or, you know, without knowing none of that. Mm-hmm.
But see, Casey, for you bring up a good example to use, which is The Walking Dead. So they deviated a lot from the comic books, but even the people who read the comic books or read the graphic novel will tell you that they kept the spirit of what he was doing, and he was also involved in the show as well. But they kept the spirit of what the show was trying to do. They didn't have to deviate so far away from what it was about. The same thing with Invincible. People who have read the graphic novel will tell you Invincible stayed true to what the comic book is about. Mm-hmm. All we're saying is this isn't true to what we were expecting. Like, this was literally a Red Hulk movie. It wasn't a Captain America movie. Even if you look at all the previous Captain America movies, the only one that was maybe you could say was a deviation was Civil War, because that was like more like an Avengers movie. Mm-hmm. But all the movies that are Captain America movies are Captain America movies, except this one. Yeah. Let me rephrase. It didn't feel like a Captain America movie. Mm-hmm. Like Steve Rogers was at the center of Civil War. It was the struggle between him and Tony. Right. And his struggle, the whole movie was apparent. The same thing with Winter Soldier. It was about him and Bucky and his struggle with that relationship. Here, we got Sam, who is Captain America, but it's really not about anything involving him. Mm-hmm. It's like Hanako said, it's really more about him reacting to what Thunderbolt Ross has been doing and the culmination of all his stuff that he's been doing. And it's about him. He's the one, we talk about how great he is. He's the one that got all of the development. And yes, you're right. Sam had a whole show, but not everyone watched the show. The last time a lot of people who see this movie, the last time they saw him was him getting the shield. And now they're going to see him as Captain America. Well, sort of Captain America sometimes, but it was mostly if you had watched The Incredible Hulk with Edward Norton, this movie will be your jam because this, if you, I'm telling you, if you had watched that movie the day before you saw this movie, you'd be like, yeah, this is part two, definitely part two. And that's kind of all we're saying. So no, you don't necessarily need to have. And we talked about this on other MCU shows. We talk about the details drive me and Mike nuts. They can, but we also understand that the details aren't for everybody. The details are for us.
Right.
The details are not for you, and that drives us nuts.
Yeah, but I think we had a conversation. We had a conversation about this, talking about the mainstream fans and then the kind of over and beyond fans. It's like,
and I remember saying that I wasn't as worried about this movie than I am Thunderbolts.
Yeah.
You know, and I fully expect this movie to do fine in the box office because it says it's Captain America and it's got Harrison Ford in it. Mm-hmm. You cannot go wrong with that. People are gonna go watch this movie
worldwide, so
yeah, people are gonna go watch it. Yeah. It's just that people like me and Mike, we're gonna be a little bit bothered by some of the stuff that's going on. Yeah,
so yeah, and that's our fault. Comic book that references the Brave New World, or no?
Yes, it's a whole series.
Okay,
but it's not this. It's not
there is the Brave Captain America Brave New World exists. There is a comic.
Okay.
It's called Brave New World.
Yes, it's called.
The movie is called Brave New World. The comic series is Brave New World, but they're not the same.
It's not the same. Okay. And it's like
because the Red Hulk is a whole series of books in the Incredible Hulk.
Red Hulk's really technically more Thunderbolts than
it's Thunderbolts, but yeah.
But
because Betsy becomes a Red Hulk too. I mean, it's all that stuff.
This is why Hanako gives me grief every time someone mentions Taskmaster, is because I pay attention to things, and when they're not that way, that's my ADHD kicking in, being like, that's not right, that's not right, that's not right, that's not right, and it gets me. But okay, this was a fun movie. Like the flying battle scene was good. I'm glad that Joaquin didn't get the War Machine treatment and like lose and like become a quadriplegic, because I was afraid that was going to happen. Yeah. I was afraid he was going to die because they cut out a whole funeral scene that they had in that. This was one of the behind the scenes pics. They had a whole funeral scene that we didn't see, so they cut that out. Because I thought Joaquin was dead. I thought
I would have been pissed if not only because one, I feel like he didn't have enough time in this movie either. Again, this is Captain America and the new Falcon supposed to be a big part of this movie. I feel like he didn't get enough time. But one of the other things that I think kind of bothers me, and this goes back to a conversation that we've always had in regards to the MCU shows. Anthony had this thing where he was saying that the people who watch the movies are not necessarily going to watch the shows and vice versa. And unfortunately, with this film, it kind of proves that you are, let me say, you don't have to, but if you want the information, kind of like I'm saying, I like character development. I like seeing where a character starts and where they come from. If you go into this movie and you've never seen Falcon and the Winter Soldier, you don't know who the fuck Joaquin is. You don't know why he's got the mantle of the Falcon. There are certain things about these characters that you just aren't not gonna know because you didn't watch the show. Anybody who watched the movies, you're not expecting Bucky to show up for Sam and for them to have the conversation that they have and hug it out, and Bucky's last words being, "I love you, bro." If you just watched the films and didn't watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier, you have no idea that relationship is even a relationship now. You have no idea how close they are. And it's just, I guess that's just one of the things that kind of bothers me again, because everything was focused on Thunderbolt Ross, and I just don't feel like there was enough of Sam's story in there for it to be considered a Captain America movie. Yes, the movie was fun. Yes, Anthony Mackie was phenomenal. And I'm not complaining about the Red Hulk, because Harrison Ford, again, gave a great performance. But like you said, it was an Incredible Hulk sequel. It was a Red Hulk origin story. I don't feel like it was a Captain America movie in the sense of the Captain America movies we've gotten before.
Well, to be fair, Hanako, to be fair, you really could just not have watched the show, because if you saw the Falcon get the shield and now he's Captain America, well then someone had to become the Falcon, and here's a new little kid on the block who's the Falcon now. And if you remember, he does have an issue with having lost a friend who did the same thing he did, and he's being overly protective of him for those reasons. So it does kind of make sense. You don't need to know who he was or how they became friends, because you just got his replacement, and he's got to teach him how to be the Falcon now.
I got to be honest. I forgot that he had someone who flew with him die. Like, I completely forgot that part.
Yeah, I forgot about it too until Anthony mentioned it earlier.
Yeah, but if you only watch, if you focus on the movies and you not watch the show, you would remember. That would be more something that you remember than the relate. Now I can't explain the Bucky thing, because I don't know. Didn't Bucky talk to him at the end of the movie about it? He gave you the shield.
Yeah, but they were still not on the level.
They weren't tight. Like, he would come visit him to check up on him and see how he's doing. But it is kind of believable, because time has passed, and he could have been there with him, helping him learn how. Someone had to teach him how to throw the shield. Someone had to work with him on that stuff, train him how to fight. Isaiah Bradley didn't. Maybe that might throw some people off. Who the fuck is Isaiah Bradley? But they gave you a little bit. Yeah. They gave you a little bit of information. Who Isaiah Bradley was. He was Captain America at some point. Yeah, he just never had a uniform.
Yeah,
they give you enough, and that's what I said before about the TV shows. Not necessarily, they're gonna have to make it to where you can watch the movies, still have the information, and not watch the TV show. My gripe with them is not that. My gripe with them is that this movie wasn't really a Captain America movie. It was a sequel to the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, I think that Bucky was
it was a good sequel to the Incredible Hulk. Actually, it was actually a really good sequel to the Incredible Hulk.
I think that Bucky was checking on him secretly to see how his sister was doing, to keep that going. But if you didn't watch Falcon and Winter Soldier, you're not going to get that joke.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to have questions about, so is this before or after Thunderbolts? Because when I'm watching Thunderbolts, he can't be running for Senate, and he's not running for office. That's what I'm saying.
So if you look at the scene in Captain America, he says something about being a would-be congressman. So he's at this point, he's stumping, he's campaigning. If you look at the most recent trailer for the Thunderbolts that they released on Super Bowl Sunday, the trailer starts out with them being in a congressional hearing with Val speaking to Congress. Bucky is there in the audience in his suit and tie with his American pen. So I think he starts out the Thunderbolts in this position, whether he's already been elected or whether he's still campaigning. And then something probably happens to pull him back into, as we see, kind of Winter Soldier, and then him having to go form this team with the others. But I thought it was, we mentioned this earlier when we were talking about What If. I thought it was very interesting because last season of What If, there was an episode where Bucky was a senator. And I was like, how in the world would that even work? And then now we see he's campaigning for Congress. So, I think one of the things about this film that it does reflect, and I think Anthony, you may have mentioned this earlier, you think about a character like Bucky as the Winter Soldier, like this is someone who is internationally known as an assassin, a controlled assassin. Yes, he was brainwashed, he was being controlled, he had no control over the things that he did as the Winter Soldier, and we know from Falcon and the Winter Soldier that he was pardoned and apparently is now running for Congress. Okay, this is a person who obviously his crimes are not hindering him in any sort of way. Going back to the whole thing with Isaiah Bradley, this is a man who never committed a crime, but served 30 years in prison for trying to save the lives of other super soldiers, his brothers in arms. And you see how they treated him, like it was obvious. And even from watching the film, the moment that he picked up the gun and shot at the president, the way that his eyes were, you could tell this was a man who was not in control. He very much looked like he was looking into dead space. But of course, he didn't get that benefit of the doubt because of who he shot at and because of the situation and all the other stuff that happened. And I thought about that one scene in Falcon and the Winter Soldier right after they left Isaiah's house. Bucky and Sam were in the street and they were arguing, and the police came up and they started kind of berating Sam, like, oh, is everything okay? What are you doing? Let me see your ID. And Sam was like, I don't have ID. Like, what am I doing?
Yeah, sir, is he bothering you? Like,
yeah, right. And Bucky is like, excuse me, do you not know who he is? Like, it is one of those things where obviously race comes into play. You know what I'm saying? Like, Bucky, white guy, in that situation, the police didn't even think about, oh, this is the Winter Soldier. This is James Barnes. He's the Winter Soldier. He's pardoned. He's this, that, and the other. In Captain America, Bucky's running for Congress. But you got Sam, the one being questioned, and it wasn't until the guy was like, yo, that's the Falcon. He was like, oh, Mr. Wilson, I'm so sorry, sir. Blah, blah, blah. That, that whole thing. And then in the movie with Isaiah Bradley, they're putting him in maximum security because of all this stuff. And, even the way that the newscast was talking about him, yeah, he was honored a few years ago for being the first Captain America, and now blah, blah. Yeah. I think that part was part of Captain America's story because it's something that we see reflected in both the show and the movie. But yeah, anyway. Okay, so let's do this because we've talked.
Yeah, I'm avoiding that soapbox. I had it ready, but I'm not gonna get on it.
Why are you not gonna get on it?
I'm not gonna get on it.
Okay.
There was so many. Get
on it. Jump
there
on
was
it.
There were so many subtext things in this movie that I appreciate it, but it's old now.
Yeah.
It's old, it's tired, we have some politicians who have been convicted, awaiting sentence.
Yeah.
And they're our leaders of the free world.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's real life. That's not even,
and that's real. That's real life. So I can't even be mad at Bucky running for office.
Yeah.
I really can't.
I mean, and
I actually got a pardon. And but the thing that you bring up about the difference between Bucky and Isaiah Bradley is obvious to us. Mm-hmm. We get the subcontext. Is it going to matter though? Like, is anyone else going to be paying attention to that? More people are up in arms about some. a lot of us are afraid to criticize this movie because of a black man being Captain America.
Mm-hmm.
And this is becoming an issue now where it's difficult to be critical of something like that because then you're critical of it because it's a black man being Captain America. So I applaud all the content creators and the not the critics because they trash every movie.
Mm-hmm.
But there are a lot of content creators who are going out on a limb and they're trashing this movie. And they're putting themselves out there because the backlash is going to be, well, you only dislike it because it has a black man playing Captain America, where that's really not the case. I mean, there's some legitimate things that are wrong with the movie, but there are also some things that are really good about the movie.
Yeah.
And Casey is a perfect example of you literally can go into this movie and walk out and be like, man, that was a great movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand because, like I said, if it was Red Hulk, Incredible Hulk 2, Red Hulk, I'd be like, this movie is awesome. It's great. Mm-hmm. It's perfect. Mm-hmm. But it's not. It's Captain America. So, yeah, people are going to trash it because it's not really a Captain America movie. And then they're going to... I mentioned that someone somewhere made the decision to change the entire movie because they probably felt like, yeah, no, people aren't going to really buy into this black man being Captain America, or they didn't believe Anthony Mackie could literally carry a movie. And Harrison Ford had an interview where someone asked him about, is it cool being in a movie where a black man he's a black Captain America? He's like, no, he's just Captain America.
He's just Captain America, yeah.
He's literally just Captain America.
Mm-hmm.
And you would hope that everyone will watch it like that everyone would watch it through that lens.
But remember, that was a thing in Falcon and the Winter Soldier too. The little kid calling him Black Falcon. He was like, "It's just Falcon." My dad says it's Black Falcon. At the end, when he was Captain America, the guy was like, "Yeah, that's the Black Captain America." And
right,
was like,
and what makes
Captain America
and what makes Anthony Mackie's performance in this movie so good? His part is written so well in that he's not questioning whether or not he should be Captain America because he's black. He's questioning whether he's good enough, whether he can measure up to what Steve Rogers was.
Mm-hmm.
If he can reach that ideal, if he could replace him and be the Captain America, that's what he struggled with. Not because he's black.
Yeah.
And that resonates with me. Like, don't always assume that I have to be the black person that does this or the black person. Mm-hmm. Why can't I just be hoping to be good at it? Just be good at what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And that's why I thought his character was so well written in this movie. Mm-hmm. That's why I wanted more of him. I would have been okay with a continuation of the Falcon and Winter Soldier in movie form. Mm-hmm. People were like, we don't want to see we don't want to see Falcon. I do.
Yeah.
I do. That's what I want to see. I want to see his journey in becoming the true Captain America. Mm-hmm. Everyone's Captain America, not just some people's Captain America. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. No, I'm putting my soapbox away.
No, but I mean, you make some very
ground on the soapbox.
Yeah, you make some very valid points. I mean, Falcon and the Winter Soldier to this day remains one of my top Disney Plus shows. And it's because of the growth that we saw from Sam Wilson's character, and again, also kind of, the relationship between him and Bucky and how that developed. But again, a continuation of that story with the Flag Smashers, or not even the Flag Smashers, because we saw what happened to them at the end of the series. But what happens after that? I think the timeline of this particular Captain America movie, I think it takes place 2 years after the end of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, because when the news report was talking about Isaiah Bradley, they said something about how 2 years ago it was made known, blah, 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 that he, government experimented on him. So 2 years after what happened with the Flag Smashers, like, what is that world like now? What happened with the, what did they call it? The Reclamation Project, or the people who came back from the blip, and all the people were being displaced and those conflicts. Like, those are still real things that have not been properly addressed. And I think we talked about that with the Eternals too. It's like 5 years people disappeared, and when they came back, everything was different. Nobody has talked about that. And I think for me, with these Marvel films, one of the issues that I do have, and I know we talk about continuity, we talk about how the stories connect and everything, and granted, everything doesn't always have to connect. We get that. The Avengers are the Avengers, but they also have very separate lives when they're not avenging. They have different things that they have to do. And then also, everybody can't be in the same place at the same time. There are other parts, kind of like what Miss Marvel said when they were like, well, where were you when all this stuff? She was like, other parts of the universe don't have the Avengers, so I have to be elsewhere. But something like the stuff that happens, like you said, the stuff that happens with the Red Hulk, you don't think Bruce Banner would have been interested in being like, oh, let me go see if I can help this, help with this, because not too many things can defeat a Red Hulk. The whole thing with Tiamat being in the middle of the Indian Ocean, you think Captain America is the only person who's going to come and deal with that? And this is how many years after the fact? Like, I don't know. I just have a problem with the fact that y'all can bring all of the Avengers together or all of the superheroes together for these little bitty things. But when it comes to these huge things, it's like, where's everybody at? So I don't know. It's just, I don't want to keep talking about this stuff because it makes it sound like we didn't like the movie, and that's not what we're saying at all. Like, we actually liked the movie. I just think that it should have been more about Sam than about Ross.
Right.
Because like you said, he gave an amazing performance. Like, I was kind of worried that with them making a big Captain America movie, I was kind of scared that they were going to take some of the humor and some of the sass out of Sam, make him a more serious Captain America. And that's not what I want, because that's not what I expect from Sam Wilson. So the fact that the first scene where he comes in and the guy is like, yeah, we need the stealth mode. He was like, stealth? Oh, you must be new. I said, okay, we're getting the same Sam. When he did the superhero landing and stood up and he was like, wait for it. And then the after effects came and he started fight. I was like, okay, we're getting Sam Wilson, like the real Sam Wilson. And the way he was throughout the movie, he was serious when he needed to be. He was comical when he needed to be. He was a smart ass when he needed to be. He was naive in certain places, but I felt like that was also where he needed to be, because you can't have somebody who's just all of a sudden, everything that's going on, especially, as we said, Sam is not a super soldier. He doesn't have the enhanced anything. So as a human, yeah, he might make an error of judgment or two and then have to course correct. And we see that in this movie when he's finally dealing with Stearns. Like, this is a moment where you realize, okay, your smart mouth ain't gonna get you out of this. This man is really smart, and this man is really manipulating some shit to do some serious damage. And when Sam gets serious and figures that out and goes to try to fix things, like, this is Sam Wilson. This is more of what I wanted in the film. The flying stunts, that battle scene with the Japanese warships and everything, that was great. That was amazing. I just wanted more of that. So
yeah. I mean, it's so, like you said, I actually feel like I hate how I said I felt about the movie, but that's honestly how I feel. I enjoyed it. I had fun. It was a great movie. But it's just like, I don't know. I want to say that it's a good movie or it's a, and I can't say either one. I can say it's a good movie, but I can't say it's like a great movie. It's like, I feel like Infinity War and Endgame spoiled the fuck out of us, because
yeah.
everybody's expecting that level of memorable performances and excitement, and they're expecting that level now, and that's hard. That's fucking hard as hell to maintain that. So it's like we forgot that for every movie like that, we have movies like Ant-Man, movies like the first Thor and Thor: Dark World. It's like we have movies that
Was
were.
nothing wrong with the first Thor movie.
I'm saying, but I'm saying they're not like in game level. You can't tell me that the first Thor is in game level.
No, I mean, but let's be honest, none of
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's not at that level.
Okay,
I'm just saying that.
Yeah, but I don't think any of the films before that were that level.
Right, but we're expecting that. We're expecting that, or like Guardians of the Galaxy level, like every time out. You see what I'm saying? It's like that's really hard to do and maintain. It's like you have to really like catch lightning in a bottle to get to where that phase of the MCU was. Okay, it's like they were having hit after hit after hit. They were like, I mean, they didn't really miss except for things that people really didn't care for, like, or they had a problem with how it was, or how things were portrayed, like Captain Marvel. It's like Captain Marvel wasn't a bad movie. It's just like this movie, in my opinion. It's just like you kind of have to take it for what it is, and you kind of have to build something from a certain level. You can't just expect it to be jump out the park like that. So you have to have things that build up to something, and people have been spoiled in the MCU.
Yeah, I got you. So Michelle has just joined us. Hi, Michelle.
Hello. Hey, girl.
So we've been discussing Captain America for a while. Let's get your take on the movie. What did you think about Captain America: Brave New World?
Okay, I really wanted it to do really, really well. I did. It's just missing a lot of things. I can't even quite put my finger on what it's missing. But when I close my eyes and think about what I got to do after the movie, that ain't great. Okay. And I did that a couple of times.
Okay.
And I don't know if it was our movie theater or if it was meant for. Was it dark for you guys? Did y'all talk about that? It was kind of dark, but it could have been. I will need to see it again. It was dark like Rogue One dark when we first saw Rogue One.
No, that had to have been your theater because
it wasn't that dark, but it just like it wasn't bright. It wasn't bright at all. So that could lead to it, but it was just missing some components, and I really wanted it to focus more on Sam than the dad. General.
Okay, so you basically feel the same way that we, the majority of us, I think Casey is the exception. We were all like, it felt like an Incredible Hulk sequel instead of a Captain America movie.
Right, it did. And then when we left the movies, I thought, you know what? If they didn't ever do the show on Disney Plus, they could have turned the show into a movie, and that would have been it. Him becoming Captain America. And I think that would have been a better movie. And then you can go into this movie.
Right. It would have been kind of like an origin story, like
for
Captain
him,
America,
like
the first Avenger.
Right. Because he did pull the same components out of the TV show of the struggling. Is he worthy? Is he, you know, I was about to say something that I shouldn't say. Not that he's not a DI hire. Like, he was just trying to, figure out if he should be Captain America. That should have been the TV series, should have been the movie.
You're thinking what a lot of MCU fans are thinking. It's like, I mean, they think that they thought that from the end of Endgame. They're like, oh God, why the black guy? Bucky's right there. And it's like, and that their opinion still holds to this day of that. And it's like, through Falcon and Winter Soldier, they're like, oh, this is so fucking woke. Oh my God. Can I go?
But see, Bucky wouldn't be a great fit for
Captain America
because
you're right. No, I agree.
Even though Bucky was not in control of the things he did as the Winter Soldier, he was still the Winter Soldier. And one thing about the whole Captain America mantle is Steve Rogers was, for the most part, pure at heart. He had a very clear sense of what was right and what was wrong. And he went with that no matter who it pissed off, because even though he started out, when he came back, he was a Shield soldier. He was like, yeah, Shield is doing this, Shield is doing that. But when Tony started pointing out, hey, so yeah, this is what Shield is doing behind the scenes. They're trying to create weapons and they're doing this. Steve was like, I'm not about to be a part of this. And Sam, I feel like, is the same way. Sam has a very clear sense of right and wrong. And him being a black man, he understands what's fair and what's not, and how the world is imbalanced in that way. I think that makes him like a perfect candidate.
Right. Sam has always been the perfect fit for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
However, I just wanted it to just do well, and it was just missing. But a lot of their movies lately has been missing things.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but I mean, like I said, we've been talking mostly about the hits or misses with this, and a lot of what we've been saying is about the fact that it focused a lot on Thunderbolt Ross.
Yeah.
And hit the consequences of his past actions and how Sam is having to come in and clean it up.
Right. His relationship with his daughter, and trying to change and convincing people of changing while you're still doing some bad stuff.
Right. Because you can't tell people that you've changed, but you still got Stearns locked up. So okay, so we've talked, I think we pretty much have said what we I won't say didn't like about the film, just the things that we felt were kind of lacking as far as it being a Captain America film and not an Incredible Hulk sequel. But what was your favorite scene in the movie? Like, what just made you happy? What made you smile? I know y'all already know what mine was, so
it's probably the same as mine.
Bucky?
Yeah, it's probably the same.
Yeah, it was Bucky. And any reference to their relationship.
Yeah.
Because even at the end of fighting, when he said, man, I should have listened to Bucky. I should have took the serum. Like that. Yeah. Their relationship, their chemistry is fantastic.
Yes.
So
I love that part, because like when he was sitting there watching Joaquin in surgery, and you hear the steps come behind. Now I'm the person, I'm so into the movie, I'm not even thinking who this could be. So when he says this is a private room and there's no response, and then they do that angle where you see Sam and then it comes forward and you see Bucky, when I say my whole theater cheered, we were all like, I was like, I don't care if he's in here for 2 seconds. The fact that I see them on screen together again, that made my whole night. I was like, the rest of this movie could suck and I would be fine, because I got to see Bucky and Sam on screen together. It was amazing. I loved it.
Yeah. I was just because I really like his character and I like the fact that he's getting another run. I really loved everything that Carl Lumbly that Isaiah was in. Like, I really did, because especially like in the gym when they were doing training, yes. That was awesome. It's like, and Joaquin was like, "Who is this?" And he did the Cap punching the punching bag off the punching bag off the chain thing. He was like, "Oh." And
yeah, what was he calling him? Old timer or
OG?
He called him OG, but he called him something else. And I was looking at him like, dude, this is the wrong thing to say to the wrong person. But I loved it that kind of built their rapport. Because again, you see Sam and Joaquin and you see just the kind of banter that they have. And the fact that they brought Isaiah into that and they kind of formed this little trio of them. I love that. I was like, see, we could have dealt with more of that. Like they could have had another conflict with Isaiah Bradley and the mind control thing, and they could have kept that and it would have been, a continuation of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But I do love that friendship. It
wasn't my favorite scene, but at the end when Sam called him a grumpy old man, and he was like, "Say it again."
Yeah. And Sam was like, he was like, ha ha ha, I got you. Yeah. I love it.
Even though we saw it in the trailers, my favorite scene will always be when the guy's like, "You gonna go stealth mode?" He's like, "You must be new."
You must be new.
You must be new. And then he goes down and he lands. Wait for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love they showed like the Wakanda, like the vibranium effect in his suit. Yes. Where everybody was like, because everybody saw where he landed. They were like, "Oh, you should have broken his leg." I'm like, motherfucker, the suit's made of vibranium. Like it absorbs shock. It absorbs like impact. That's this whole thing. Mm-hmm. And then when he did like the aura coming, like when he slammed it down and the purple came out and like knocked everybody out, like Black Panther. I was like, see, I was half expecting to see Shuri in this too. Yeah, like when he messed up his suit, or like this, or if I would have seen Oyo or Io or somebody come and be like, "You need to stop destroying the fucking suit." Like,
I thought we would have seen something towards the end, because Joaquin asked Sam, he was like, the suit's been destroyed. Maybe you could call in a favor, get the Wakandas to do another suit. I was like, that wasn't Sam, that was Bucky. They did the favor for Bucky. So no, Sam is not the one with the connections to Wakanda. That's Bucky.
Right.
But yeah, that would
he say you want to ask the Wakandans for a hookup?
Right. That's the most Miami thing ever.
True.
Yeah. Casey, since you got kicked off and are coming back, we're talking about our favorite scenes from the movie. What was your favorite?
Probably my favorite was when he was fighting and his suit, like the vibranium turned purple.
Yep, that's what my dad said. Mm-hmm.
But I'm mad he didn't do it more than once, because I was waiting for that again.
Yeah.
Like he was fighting.
When he stabbed the Red Hulk, though.
Okay, he did it twice. He should have done it more.
He should have done way more.
Should have.
He did it again when he stabbed the Red Hulk with that one wing.
Yes. But I was I kept waiting for him to use it, because I like that.
Right. Oh, speaking of which, I'm tired of Red Wing being disrespected. In this one, you get not one, but two of them get destroyed. Y'all gonna stop disrespecting Red Wing.
But leave that boy alone.
They need to be a little more indestructible.
Well,
maybe they'll be made out of adamantium next time.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so since you brought adamantium up, how are we feeling about the way that they're introducing adamantium into the MCU?
It sucks, because adamantium is supposed to be rare, and come on.
Well, guys. I mean, a whole Celestial.
It is a rare. It's a whole man coming out of the planet.
No,
it's coming out of
that is a lot of adamantium, and Japan was able to refine it, which means they're going to be able to refine it more. And I'm not saying it's taken away from the value of the vibranium, because vibranium is still vibranium. Mm-hmm. But I'm just saying, adamantium is supposed to be rare in the Marvel in the Marvel
I think
universe, but that's a lot of adamantium.
Well,
are we sure that the whole thing is made of adamantium?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
No, I think that they were saying that they were mining it, which means that it's not like the whole finger, like for example, the hand coming out. The whole finger is not adamantium. They actually have to drill into it to get to the adamantium. So the whole thing's not adamantium. They actually have to drill.
There may not be a lot of it. I just don't like how it was introduced, though.
Like the bone, like the bone, for lack of a better word, the bones of the hand are adamantium. Okay. But like the outside
skeleton
is like
or whatever. Okay.
Or the marrow.
Right. Okay.
I just don't like how it was introduced, because you kind of threw shade at the Wakandans.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Right. Yeah. Excuse
me.
This
is better than vibranium.
Right. And they keep it all to themselves.
Yeah, fuck y'all.
Yeah. It's my fucking land, but okay. I don't have to share.
I don't have to share.
Yeah, it's like, and the way Ross said that shit, I was like, that we're going to have what kind of third world country like hoarding that or something like that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was offended.
I was like, bro, hold up. Like I would
Well,
shout
you
it
have
too.
to remember, they still don't know the true state of Wakanda. Like they don't know what Wakanda really looks like and about the technological advances or anything. They still, like, if they were to go to Wakanda right now, they would still see just the homesteads and the farms. And so as far as they're concerned, yes, Wakanda is a third world country.
Well, that part didn't bother me. It was the part that you just saying like we supposed to just give you all of our material. I'm sorry that we're hoarding it. Yeah, we are, because y'all don't need to have it.
Yeah, because y'all have already proven that y'all can't be trusted with shit.
Right. I mean, so okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Speaking of which, the French are back at it again. These motherfuckers from being in Wakanda forever, trying to steal vibranium and getting handled, to coming over here trying to take advantage of all the fucking adamantium too. I'm like, why the French coming in here causing all this shit?
Well,
like,
at least we didn't see Batroc this time.
Batroc over there probably kicking the finger trying to mine it.
Like, no, he should be dead. I think because Sharon killed him in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, so he should be dead.
Nobody stays dead in the comics, please.
Did you see a body though?
Did you see?
Yes, we did see a body. We saw him lying on the ground. Now
we
didn't
saw,
see him get taken away.
Body. We saw Nick Fury's body too, and he's still kicking on
fall.
Well, you know, but that's what happens when you're being duplicated by a Skrull. Okay. I'm trying to think other favorite moments besides Bucky, of course.
I love the transformation of into the Red Hulk, because I thought the way they did that, I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
I loved how they explained how he got the radiation into his system.
Mm-hmm.
That I was thinking like, really, you didn't think this?
That's what I was thinking. I was like, this is a man that you have been keeping captive, and you really went to him thinking that he was going to help you out and there weren't going to be any consequences. Like, again,
he was desperate.
I'm wondering how this man got chosen president. Like,
he was desperate and he was dying.
Yeah. And he convinced him that if you help me when I become president, I will pardon you.
Okay, this is basically Aladdin. It's like he was the genie. He was probably singing to him, Mr. General Ross, sir, I'll feel your heart right now. I'm like, and then he was like, he was like, I'm going to free Samuel Stearns anytime. It's like, I can't free you. He was like, this is basically Aladdin. It was like, damn. Wow. But I mean, why did he trust him? I'm like, you say, oh, here, these will heal your heart. Just keep taking those, but don't take too many. And I'm like, as soon as he takes 2 minutes, and of course he orchestrated the reporters to ask him the questions to get him riled up, and then next thing you know, here he is. And I was like, when his hand hit the ground and burned the carpet, I was like, oh
yeah,
shit.
I was like, oh, it's about to be dangerous. And I love the fact that even while he was trying to fight him, Sam is trying to talk him down. He was like, oh, well, that damn.
Yeah, because he's still Sam. It's like, I mean, he could talk down the gamma rage Godzilla Hulk, but he can't talk down the Red Hulk. So,
oh my god, I forgot about that. He did that in What If.
In What If, yeah.
But yeah, I'm more impressed that I think Sam is probably one of the most impressive superheroes from living. Period, because he should have been. Red Hulk should have decimated him.
Yeah.
I think if he didn't have that vibranium suit, he would have been dead. That vibranium suit helped him a lot because I think it absorbed a lot of the blows.
Yeah, that fight was crazy. I was just like, how are you still like, oh god, like you should be deader than Dickens. Like you should be like a smear.
Well, what we really know about the Hulk is Ross is still there. So on some level, he didn't really want to kill him.
Yeah.
He was just upset.
Mm-hmm.
Ross never liked him. He locked him up in the raft and shit. So
Yeah, but I don't.
Yeah,
that
but I don't
wasn't
think he would want
necessarily
him
because he didn't
dead.
like them. That was because he broke the law or he broke, the
Yeah.
accords.
Yeah.
So, but I think also with Ross, it wasn't it wasn't just about the fact that he didn't want to hurt him. I think he was just so upset because once he looked in the mirror and he saw what he had become, it's kind of like all of your mistakes, all of your past mistakes are right there looking at you in the mirror. And now you understand what Bruce went through all those years ago when he had the same thing happen to him, and you went on a manhunt for him. You tried to kill him. You chased him across borders and all this other stuff. And like, you got to think at some point in his head, he's thinking back to what Betty said is like, he can't control this. You did this to him. Because technically speaking, he did kind of sort of create Hulk. So it's just dealing with all of that, I'm sure was probably making him upset as well.
This is why I'm surprised we didn't see Bruce C. Banner in this again, because we already have him figuring out how to become Smart Hulk, where he could control his thing. I'm surprised you didn't see him showing up at the raft saying, "Hey Ross, need some help?" And then because in the comic books, the Red Hulk actually can talk. If I'm not mistaken, like he actually has control over himself to a degree where he can actually still be General Ross and lead the team. Okay. And so he's now he really needs to learn that. So who better to teach him than Bruce?
Yeah, I'm sorry though. Bruce might still hold a grudge. I would.
Probably, but then
No, you got to send Jennifer, because she ultimately is in control of what she's doing.
So, yeah,
but he's not a woman, so he can't really he's not.
That was very sexist of you.
It was said in the series. Don't come for me. Said in the series.
I didn't watch the series, so I don't know what you're talking about.
You know what? We are not getting into that conversation. No, we are not getting into that.
We haven't done She-Hulk yet, have we? Let's go.
We haven't.
No,
let's go.
I'm ready. I'm fucking ready.
Leave that alone.
No, but terrible. I think that that would have been a perfect opportunity to either have someone come in, even to have, because shout out to Eric Voss and New Rockstars. There was a deleted scene where they introduced Amadeus Cho, where he was supposed to be the friend that the army guy had to see what was in those pills.
Okay.
He was supposed to be the friend, so that could indicate
the one that was on the phone with him, telling him like, "Where the hell did you get these?" Okay.
Yeah, that was supposed to be Amadeus Cho, who is the Awesome Hulk.
Okay.
In the Champions, yeah.
Okay.
And the smartest person the second smartest person in Marvel Comics.
Now, did you guys talk about Ruth?
Very little.
Very, very little.
Go ahead.
No pun intended.
Well, I also had this is a problem. We were talking about highlights. I had a problem because I was like, so we're trying to now replace Black Widow because you had to have her straight from the same area and stuff. I didn't care for that. That's just my opinion. That was all.
It was, I guess, like they were saying, it was better than her being Israeli and fighting on those forces. I think that's why they changed it, because of all of the stuff going on with Israeli.
Right. The character's name was Sabra.
Yeah.
It could just be Ruth, and she just worked really hard, and she's a great fighter. Why does she has to be like Black Widow? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but they
she can have that job. I'm okay with that. I'm okay. She can fight. She could have had training, but it don't have to be like she's from the same as Black Widow. I just felt like you were trying to do a replacement. That's all.
Well, no, I mean, it could just be Fallout, or kind of like, if you think about Black Widow, they released all of the widows that were being held by and controlled by what's his name. So she could have been part of that. Like,
she could have. What other show do we have anybody from?
Huh?
I mean, she's been released a long time ago. All those women were released a long time ago. Do we have any other shows that they're from the same area? Any other women?
Well, we don't know yet. I mean, there could be a few in Thunderbolts, maybe.
Yeah. What I'm trying to say is that was a long time ago, and if we did that, we should start leading up to that.
Not necessarily, because if you think about it, Tiamet coming up out of the Indian Ocean was also years ago, and they are just now dealing with that problem.
But that was in another movie in a newspaper article.
That was in She-Hulk, and it was a very brief page.
Was it
but still, this is almost 5 years after the fact. So yeah.
I'm okay with that because you're trying to explain it. I'm just saying we didn't need to have a call back to like, oh, she's like Natasha. I didn't,
Well, I think
she deserves more respect.
Look, she can be from the Red Room. She ain't gonna be no Natasha or no Yelena.
I know. That's I think no point.
I think that they, like I explained before, this is just them trying to make up for having an Israeli character and not having to seem tone deaf as far as like the whole Israel Palestine conflict. And like they didn't want to seem like they were choosing side. They didn't want to make it seem like they were being pro-Israel and like trying to get into the fight, so to speak.
My whole thing is, why did y'all even need to mention where she was from?
Right, that's what I'm saying. So there was no need to mention
they were going to make her Sabra. They were going to make her that character.
But when you decided not to make her that character, why did you like? Y'all could have just said, we don't know where she's from, but we know she was part of the Red Room, or you could have said a whole.
You didn't even have to say where she was from. Did we learn Ross's Secret Service where she was from? Is she from Georgia? Is she from California? Is she from Detroit? Like, we don't need to know where everybody's from.
That's what Casey said.
There was no point. That was not a point.
Who they are.
I mean, it's just Ruth. Even though my favorite scene was she was like looking at Bucky and he was like, well, he over 100 years old.
She was like, I can work with that.
But other than that, you didn't have to throw in Natasha's background. You had to throw in anything that was controversial because we don't know where anyone else is from.
You got a point.
I agree.
Like everybody didn't walk around with their resume and their birth certificate. So
well, I mean, they were trying to find out her background. They were trying to dig on her because they was trying to figure out who she was, if she was good, if she was bad.
We couldn't find much. Everything was redacted.
Right, that's all you had to. That would be good too, because you were like, "Whoa!"
I don't think redaction would have stopped Joaquin, but that's okay. Okay, I'm gonna say this again. I can't believe they had Sam visit the raft and say hey to President Ross and say hey to Stearns, but you don't show him saying hey to Zemo. Like y'all could have did a little cameo, and Zemo could have been like, "Hello, Sam, how are you?" or something. Y'all could have did something,
but that wouldn't have been enough for you.
He might not. No. He might not be there.
That's where the Wakandas left him.
He might not be there.
That's maybe not where Ross put him, somewhere else.
He may not be there. Remember, he had connections. He has money.
Yeah. He's a baron. He, as he explained in.
He has no country, but
and Hanko, do you just want him in the cell and him having the music in the background?
I mean, hey, that would have worked for me. I just want to see him like we had Sam for the movie. We got a cameo of Bucky. We could have had a cameo of Zemo. I would have been good. And like I said, they could have brought the power broker in. She could have been like, they could have made that conflict into.
We could have had old Cap. Oh, keep up.
They got so much stuff to do to bring that in. That's just not even worth trying. Don't
no. Cap.
No.
Keep up the work.
He's on the moon.
He could have owned the gym where Isaiah Bradley was working out. They could have been working out together.
No, it's just too much. That's just, but see, then that'll bring up all the white guys saying, "Bring him back, give him back the shield." He doesn't give him back the shield, Sam. Give him back the shield. I ain't trying to hear all that bullshit. No,
man's 200 years old. He doesn't need the shield.
And that makes no difference.
He's done.
That
He's
makes
retired.
no difference.
He's retired.
Oh, you saw how Isaiah Bradley was moving, boy. throwing those tables around, those big
I know.
open ass tables.
And crashing through that window and fucking outrunning the cops in the fucking square. I was like,
listen, when he did that shit, I was like, oh, y'all really think y'all gonna catch him? And I'm telling you, if he wouldn't have broken out of that spell, his ass would have been gone. They would have never caught him.
Yeah, if Zemo wouldn't have tried to attach to the White House Wi-Fi and ran out of bars, then he would have gotten away clean. But as soon as he ran out of range, he was like, wait, what? Just like when you get too far from your house and you have your headphones on, your Bluetooth headphones on, and they cut off, you're like, what the hell? It's like, damn. But that scene was so sad. It's like Isaiah looked so confused. Again, Carl Lumbly killed that fucking role.
Yep.
Like he stepped out of that shit. He literally looked like he had.
He was like, Sam, what is going on?
He's like, how'd I get out here? He was so good in this role, and he better get a fucking nomination. But no, you know what? I don't want him to get a nomination because the last person that did a really good job in a supporting role in a Marvel movie that got nominated for something got shafted. So never mind.
Yeah, they're not going. I know they're not going to give any nominations for stuff like this. They never recognize.
I'm getting my hopes up.
They never recognize.
But he did the PTSD good too. Like, I don't want to be in prison. I can't do this anymore.
Crushing.
He was really good.
He really was
really good. Okay, so question: that final scene, the end credit scene, were they referencing Avengers Secret Wars? Oh, and I think we need to mention the fact that Thunderbolt Ross officially asked Sam to start back up the Avengers in this movie. So we'll see how that goes. But that end credit scene, was that referencing Secret Wars?
It was referencing the multiverse. Yeah,
that's what I thought.
Yeah, they're all coming.
Or X-Men. I mean, maybe.
And see, I was wondering about that too.
He foresaw the mutations that X-Men were going. I don't know.
Okay,
yeah,
but it's probably Secret Wars.
And Secret Wars.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
What are you gonna do when you have to defend this world from them?
And then at the end, I told Anthony, I said, "So what happened to my green people? They're in play. They're not in play. But where we at?
We
doing something. We're not doing something.
We don't talk
the
about
Skrulls.
We don't talk about the Skrulls.
We don't talk about Skrulls. No.
But I mean,
we deleted them. I mean, because they're in the government.
We don't talk about. We don't talk about the Skrulls.
They're still here, but they're just doing what they're doing.
Oh, okay. They're taking over people. Do we know who?
Imagine trying to have a movie and try to explain that to people who didn't watch the show.
It would be a lot.
Yeah.
No.
It'll be a lot. But then it's a lot asking Sam to acquire the Avengers. Like, who he gonna call?
Right.
Ant-Man.
Yeah, they did mention
right. I mean, who else?
What is Torres's obsession with Ant-Man? Because they kept mentioning him. I was like, why is he obsessed with Scott?
So I mean,
because they have a history.
Because the originals, there's no more originals.
Yeah, Sam has a history.
Well, let me see, because Hawkeye is retired, so if he does call a Hawkeye, most likely will be Kate Bishop. Natasha's gone, Tony's gone, Cap is gone, Thor is probably off world. Thor
got a child to raise.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean,
Hulk does too. He brought his son.
Yep.
So do you think? Okay, so since the Avengers are pretty much defunct, do you think this will be where the young Avengers start coming in? Where they start bringing them in? Because I mean, we've already been introduced to Kate Bishop. We've been introduced to Isaiah Bradley. We've been introduced to Wiccan and what'd I say? Isaiah? I meant Isaiah.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, Elijah. Yeah, okay, you're right. Yeah. Elijah is the nephew.
Yep, the grandson.
Mm-hmm. Grandson, yeah.
Yeah.
He actually had there was a deleted scene with him too. So there was a deleted scene with him too that was supposed to be included, but they took it out.
See, I would have liked to have seen that because that again, that would have tied in more with Sam's story than anything else. But okay, so we got Kate, Elijah,
Miss
we
Marvel.
got Wanda's. Well, we know of one of Wanda's sons that's still alive. They're looking for the other one. So, do we think the Young Avengers will actually happen?
I mean, they got Miss Marvel. They got.
And they have what's the girl? Tony suit.
Ironheart.
Oh,
Ironheart.
Riri Williams. Yeah. Okay.
I'll have her.
And Scar.
No, I don't.
Scar.
I don't think they're gonna. I don't think they're gonna do Young Avengers until after. At least after. They're not going to tease it until at least after Vision Quest, because I think in Vision Quest they're going to try to find the other brother.
Okay.
They're going to try to find Tommy. I think finding Tommy is going to have something is going to blend into that. Until they find Tommy, they're not going to do anything.
And they have the Wonder Man series coming.
That too.
So yeah,
that's based in California. So
okay.
I don't know as much Young Avengers as going ahead and skipping to having them be Avengers.
Okay.
Because
they're gonna be kind of old.
Yeah. Well, but also
by the time they get there,
there's rumors that they're trying to find someone to be T'Challa, but everyone's saying no.
Okay.
So I don't know where that leaves them with Black Panther, because obviously I think they want to bring it back.
Okay.
I think they're looking at Aldous. I don't think Aldous said no yet.
Well, Boyega said no.
Yeah, Boyega.
Yeah.
But they're looking at Aldous Hodge now.
My thing is, if you're gonna bring Boyega into the MCU, give him his own role.
No, give that man points and a whole lot of money.
That too. What I'm saying is, do him right.
Yeah, don't do him like they did with fucking Last Jedi.
He does not need to be a recast or anything like that. Give him his own role. Give him something original that he can. Yeah. Okay. So.
And I heard that they were bringing. They were toying with the idea of bringing Jonathan Majors back.
Yes, I did hear that.
And also, your boy from Fear the Living Dead,
Coleman Domingo,
has a role, but they're not talking about it.
No, apparently they asked him about replacing Jonathan Majors as Kang. He refused to do it.
Okay.
Yeah. So if they bring him into the MCU, give him his own role, because he would absolutely kill it. So yeah.
I mean, okay, guys, see, I can't talk about it. Never mind.
Can't talk about
it. He's playing a role already, but I can't talk about it because y'all haven't watched what I'm going to talk about.
Oh, okay. So yeah, okay. No spoilers. So okay. So the general consensus is we liked the movie, but we just didn't feel like it was a Captain America movie. That's the majority consensus.
I can go along with that.
Okay. But it was a fun movie. I will definitely go watch it again. Again, Anthony Mackie's Sam Wilson is one of my favorite characters in the MCU. I'm very partial towards the human characters, which is why him and he, Hawkeye, Black Widow, they have been three of my top characters. And of course, I even though he's a super soldier, I gotta add Bucky in there because it just I like the Bucky and Sam dynamic even more than I like the Bucky and Steve dynamic. So yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I'm not gonna see this movie again, but it did make me want to see Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
I did rewatch it.
That. Yeah,
I did rewatch that last week, and then I listened to the first two episodes where we covered it on the show, and I was like, okay, yeah, I think the opinions still hold up for this show. That's one of the things, sometimes we watch things and we have an opinion, and then as time goes by, I think our opinions can change, or we look at things a little bit differently. And I think that's one show that my opinion still has not changed on. It's still one of my top shows.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's one of the better MCU things that they've put out in the last few years. So, okay. Since I've been asked, I have to show this. So I went to a screening of Captain America with the MCU ATL group, and they had trivia questions. And they were like, hey, does anybody want to be put on the spot to answer a trivia question? So I raised my hand because I think the last time we did one of these, I think Mike won a pair of tickets to MomoCon, and they were also giving out tickets to MomoCon. I think the last event I went to, they gave away, I think I went to the Deadpool, and they gave away like one of the 10-inch Deadpool Funkos or something like that. So I'm thinking, okay, it's going to be something like that. So the question was, what did Sam Wilson do to honor Isaiah Bradley? So of course the answer is he added a tribute to Isaiah Bradley to the Captain America exhibit at the Smithsonian. So they were like, yes, correct. You get a shield. So I ended up winning one of the actual replicas of the Captain America shield. This is not the plastic shield. This is the metal one with the leather straps and everything. And I was like, hey, I love it.
We're going to go out in the yard and throw it around.
No. We will not be doing that because I am not trained to do that. I do not have the upper body strength to do that. It will sit very prettily somewhere. I don't know. I think it's time to do an office refresh. So I may change all this stuff back here and start putting up my Marvel stuff.
You know how much you could get for that on eBay?
Bruh, no.
Let's
because I have been wanting one of these shields, but I have not had the $200 plus to shell out for. So the fact that I got this for answering a trivia question free, no. Over my dead cold body will somebody get the shield.
You have to take it to Dragon Con and get it autographed by people from the MCU.
See, if we get people from the MCU at Dragon Con, I will do that. Specifically from, Avengers or Marvel, but I don't think we've had any in the last few years. So
we probably had some ancillary people who, you don't think about it.
Well, to see, because my plan for this year is to try to go to New York Comic Con, especially if the Outlander people are there, and they usually have some of the bigger Marvel people. Like I think a couple of years ago they had Sebastian Stan, and they had Elizabeth Olsen. So if they do that, then I may, have to take a road trip because right now I don't think I'm getting on a plane anytime soon. So yeah, I may have to do that. But yeah, this is staying here. It will probably be center right behind me, maybe in a couple of months once I decide to refresh my back wall, but we'll see. But yeah, I just thought it was so cool because I was like, I'm thinking, oh, he said shield. Yeah. I'm thinking it's one of the plastic ones. And when he handed it to me, I literally did this like, oh my God, this shit is heavy. So yeah, I got a Captain America shield. So any final thoughts about Captain America Brave New World?
All right, real quick. For most of the reshoots, for like the reshoots in the church with Sidewinder, they used the Loki set from the first season when they were first when they first were looking for in Sarah, whatever her name is, the She-Loki.
Oh,
They used that church where they went in episode 1 of the first season.
Okay.
Where they were looking for. So that was one thing they did. Shout out to the fact that Joaquin, when they were in the first scene where Joaquin got to dress like the Falcon, it reminded me of Shuri driving the Lexus in the first Black Panther, where she finally got to participate in something.
Yes.
He was like, yeah, they're gonna get away. I don't think you can make it. He's like, fine. Yeah, go ahead and suit up. He's like, yes. And it reminded me of Shuri getting ready to drive the Lexus in Black Panther. Okay. I like that. Shout out to Walt Whitman getting a special cameo with his quote on Ross's wife's tombstone. He said, keep your face always toward the sunshine and shadows will fall behind you. So that's a Walt Whitman quote. I can appreciate that. What else? I think I talked about the three pictures in Isaiah's gym. of Jackie Robinson, Jack Johnson, and Lou Alcindor before he became Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they're all black people who spoke up and were knocked down, and it's kind of symbolic to be in Isaiah's gym where it's like people who stood for something but got punished for it, just like he did, like for 30 years.
Okay.
I thought that was pretty cool. I think that's all I got.
Oh, I have one. The area that Sam and Serpent Sidewinder had their fight outside after he tried to kill Sam, Nick Fury style. That area is an area that Casey and Michelle will be familiar with.
I saw it. I was like,
wait.
It's the wall. It's the clear wall area from The Walking Dead when Morgan lived in King County by himself.
Oh.
Yeah, it's actually the section of the wall where they did the tour with Lenny James last year.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we got a little Walking Dead.
I definitely saw that, and I was like,
I know that place.
I know exactly where that's at.
Yeah.
So. Shout out to them making it painfully obvious which scenes were reshot by the really bad green screening that they did. Like some of that green screen was just like blatantly obvious. I was just like come on, man. Like the end credit scene was so bad. It's like everything was blurry in the background behind him. I was like not even okay, it's supposed to be out of focus, whatever, but it's like bad green screen blurry. I was just like, come on, guys. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed a lot of the performances in this. I'm just
the performances weren't the problem.
Yeah.
So the performances weren't the problem. I think everybody did a great job, and like I said, Anthony Mackie, Harrison Ford, just like above board, they were phenomenal. So I just, like I said, I wanted the story to relate more to Sam and his story instead of somebody, closing out somebody else's.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, who mentioned Sarah earlier? I would have loved to have seen Sarah and the boys, even just a little, okay, yeah, y'all stay over here. I'm going to take care. I mean, we could have done a little cameo that would have at least given it more of a grounded feeling for Sam.
I mean, they showed a picture of her in Cap's office / control area.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was a picture of her.
Where was that? Like,
I don't know.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
Then I had questions. Who's paying Sam? Because the last we left off, Sam was struggling, and they didn't have money for the mortgage and the boat.
He's working for Ross now, so I'm assuming he's getting a government paycheck.
Okay, because when that first car got blown up and he got a nice second car, I was like, okay, he's living a better life than
he
before.
He blew up that GMC and got a Hummer. I'm like, oh.
Okay.
Yeah, that was probably a government vehicle. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm surprised Bucky should have walked down and said, hey, say hi to your sister for me.
See, that would be good. Yeah.
That would have been fun. But okay, so let's see. The next MCU project to come out, is it the Thunderbolts? Because I don't think any of the shows are starting until, I think, Ironheart is in the summer, right?
Yeah.
So Thunderbolts is next.
Right now, that's the only thing.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So
I'm the only one watching.
Huh?
I'm the only one watching.
Watching what?
The Spider-Man cartoon.
Oh, okay. Well, technically speaking, that's not MCU, but I'm probably gonna watch it. But we have other things that we have to prioritize on this show based on what we cover. So
they're fine.
Is it born? Is it Daredevil Born Again?
It's this year.
Oh.
Yeah, but it's not until later this year, I think.
What about Fantastic Four?
Fantastic Four is in the summer. I think that's July.
All right, so then it'll be Thunderbolts.
Yeah, Thunderbolts comes out my birthday weekend.
Wait, this ain't that. Wait, This okay. Why are you saying?
Question. So is Thunderbolts their name after the president?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
But it's probably why.
There's the whole pesky thing with that asterisk. What
Yeah,
does
I
the
saw that,
asterisk
but
mean?
Yeah.
when they
That's
said the
probably why they
Thunderbolts,
can't
I'm like,
And when they mentioned it in the movie, I was like, oh, that's the same.
right,
Do they go
right.
together? I didn't
It's
know that
probably
either.
why.
Great
So,
question.
so I have a theory.
Okay.
I think that they can't. They're not. They can't call themselves the Thunderbolts because Ross is in the raft. Like he's locked up. So if they want to have a positive image, they can't name themselves after somebody who's locked up. It's like, why would they call themselves that? They already have a bad image because most of them are mercenaries and killers and shit.
Right.
So if they're trying to change their image, why would they name themselves after somebody who just tore up Washington D.C. and crushed the fucking White House?
Right.
Like that is counterproductive to anything that makes you look positive.
And you know what I just thought about? Maybe that's what the whole congressional hearing is that we see at the beginning of the trailer. Because
Probably.
what is the one thing Valentina says? She says the Avengers aren't coming. Maybe that has to do with the aftermath of Ross's hulking out.
Probably.
Okay.
Daredevil.
There is one other thing about the movie that I wanted to mention that was very different, and that's the absence of the Marvel scroll at the beginning of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That was very strange because the screening that I went to, of course, because it was a fan event screening, we didn't get any promos or any trailers before. So it started on time at 7:00, and then they ended up stopping it right before Ross got to stage to start speaking to everyone because they were waiting for a few other people to get there. And I thought about it, I was like, that's a weird way to start the movie. And then when it started again, I noticed it again. I was like, that's a weird way to start the movie. It's like it started as a cold open, and then they did a title screen. And then they went into the movie, and I was like,
why didn't we get it?
I don't know. I gotta
right.
look it up. Now that we've had this discussion, now I can start going to read articles and stuff because I didn't, you know how I am. I don't read anybody's things before we have our discussion. So now I can look it up and go see and be like, oh, that's why they're doing that. But yeah, I thought that was really weird. Like that's how we start in Captain America.
That was strange.
Okay.
It was.
Well, Daredevil Born Again starts March 4th.
That's crazy. Yeah, like soon.
Oh, okay. So I guess I need to like watch the original one on Disney Plus before that starts.
Have fun speed watching that.
Okay, this is what it say. It say, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Captain America's first film, Captain America: First Avenger, did not feature the standard Marvel title scroll in the beginning because it was intended to feel like a classic World War II era film. So they, sorry. So because the first one didn't have it, they didn't put it in this one.
Oh, okay.
Per Google.
per the Googles. Okay. Okay, cool.
The Googles.
Okay. So Daredevil is coming up. I'm assuming you guys want to cover Daredevil, right?
Yes.
Michelle is like,
yeah, because the Punisher is in there.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. Okay, so Daredevil is coming up.
And side note, there's a accountant too, and Shane is going to be in there.
Oh yeah,
I saw it.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So right. Daredevil, Thunderbolts.
This says the Thunderbolts has an asterisk because on the poster it says the Avengers are not available.
That is funny.
That is.
I have to look at the poster the next time I'm at the theaters.
Right.
Okay. Which again ties into the trailer where Valentina is at the congressional hearing. She's like, the Avengers are not coming, and then you have this ragtag team that she's putting together from her new digs at Stark
Avengers Tower.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right. So we got a few things coming up Marvel wise that we'll be discussing. I think we've all said our piece on Captain America, and yeah, it didn't feel like Captain America to me, but it's a Captain America movie. Anthony Mackie was great. And on that note, that is it for our show. You can find us online at www.fandomhybrid.com. We are on social media, on all the social media at Fandom Hybrid. You can chat with us on our Discord channel. You can watch our videos on our YouTube channel, and you can listen to us on all major podcast streaming platforms. Thanks for listening. We hope you join the conversation next time.